Welcome to Imperial Interlude. This week's episode is called, not spoiler, Rampage. With me, as always, is Ralph. Hello, Ralph.
Hi, Tim.
And again, as always, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the recent version of The Bad Batch, stop now, go watch it, come back, enjoy the show. So, we left our heroes when they were fleeing, I guess.
Yes, because it does pick up directly. Yeah, it does pick up directly from them leaving the last episode, and I'm guessing there's a little time has passed because they are at the beginning of the ship. They're busy kitting Omega out with a comm thing on there.
It's basically the flight time has passed, and Omega is getting the comms arm strap that was the one from Crosshair. So now she's a quote-unquote full member of the team.
But then, of course, as they then are doing that, they're heading to Ord Mantell, which is quite an interesting one because Ord Mantell's been in various different Star Wars properties over the years.
It's a known name for a planet like Alderaan or Coruscant.
Or Tatooine.
Or Tatooine. Or Endor.
Yeah, which seems to pop up every episode of The Mandalorian.
It's a fucking great galaxy. Let's stay around these two planets.
I was going to say, yes. It's a huge effing galaxy. But we've got these 6 planets that we always like.
And the one is in the slapback center of the universe, and the others are somewhere on the outer rim.
Yeah. Coruscant, middle. Everything else out there in space somewhere. But then as she's getting the comlink put on as well, she's also warned that it's not a toy, and then ends up using it like a toy. So
shortly. But who could blame her?
Yeah, very true. So they end up going to Ord Mantell to seek out some information.
I think someone called Sid.
Yeah, who is Echo knows or has heard of. Said he's known informer called Sid that might be able to help because they're trying to figure out who is chasing them.
Yeah, and they need some credits.
I don't think that was mentioned, was it? It was more the trying to figure out.
Yeah, the main reason they looked out for Sid was because they needed information, but later we learned that they basically also need monies.
Yes, they need some money to disappear. So they end up on Ord Mantell, going into this sort of subterranean cantina place. They question the alien bartender who says they don't know Sid, but then Omega figures out that.
Yeah, she simply wanders over to the bartender when the others are discussing, well, how can we find this Sid? Looks at her and says, "You're Sid." Yeah. And Sid goes, "You're smarter than your friends. You're obviously the brains of this operation."
Yeah, and of course Sid is a green Trandoshan as well. So, is it Trandoshan? Yes, it is Trandoshan.
I think so.
Yeah. So, and then as the other 4 members of the Bad Batch are discussing loudly, or arguing amongst themselves, Omega presses the comlink and sort of breaks into the.
I found her.
I
think that was the only reason for that episode, to give her that comlink, to have that moment.
Yeah. Was it at the beginning of this as well? I'm trying to remember where Rekka said his head was still hurting.
I was just thinking about that, and I think it was because he was. Oh no, I think it's when they accept the job and on the way to the job. It is when they're on ship again. That they go, "Oh, I've got a headache again." And I still stand by my initial promise. This is going to have an influence of some sorts later down the line.
Yeah, I think that they're setting up that there's.
And I think it'll go full on Disney at that. He will go mental, his friends can't stop him, and then Omega will go do the big cat eye, googly eye thing, and he will surpass his programming and rip his brains out or something.
I've got a suspicion they may do the whole the whole Black Widow Hulk thing. Big guy, it's getting really sleepy. It's one of the things from the Marvel stuff they have.
As long
They have
as they don't do
a
the Batman, Superman, Martha thing.
no. It's the thing from the Marvel where they have the way of Mark Ruffalo's character sort of coming out of the Hulk in Avengers 2 is they have like a specific collection of sayings that technically calms him down and puts the Hulk to sleep, and it's Black Widow that does it. So I've got a suspicion Omega might do something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So back on track. The Bad Batch get into the back office of Sid and then show her what they need to know. And Sid offers them a job to get the information because they can't pay for it.
Yes, and the operation is to find a kid named Muchi.
Yeah, a child. I think she literally says a child named Muchi.
Yes.
Which rings alarm bells.
And basically, and has been taken by some Zargarian slavers. Now, the Zargarians have appeared previously. They first appeared in Clone Wars. And there's a whole, I think it's 2-episode or 3-episode arc with them, where Anakin, Rex, and Kenobi go. No, Anakin and Rex, and Kenobi and Ahsoka go undercover. And the episode sort of ends, or the first part of the episode ends, where somebody's in the like the not the slave pits, but like a gladiatorial arena, and Anakin basically pulls his lightsaber to stop them and reveals himself, and he ends up becoming the sort of the consort of the Zargarian leader, and it's all built around Dooku as well. I'm sort of paraphrasing and skipping the story of various things, but that's the first time I think I remember seeing the Zargarian species, which are basically just cat people.
More or less.
Yeah. So Sid throws, tells makes the deal basically with them. It's a 70-30, in her favor, and she tells them, they'll take on this. Well, Wrecker gets excited when they find out they're taking on some slavers.
Yeah, finally some action.
Yeah, and she throws the thing to the chip to them as they leave.
Yeah,
with the information on.
And
she also then, I think, as well in that part says she'll find out the information about who's hunting them down.
Yeah, and it's until now it's a very straightforward episode. Nothing to write home about.
No, not a lot to mention. All really is, it's pretty straightforward. We end up with the ship traveling to the edge of
Old Montel,
or where the mountain range, wherever this ruins is, and everybody gets out and scans these ruins where they see the slavers with the micro binoculars, and that's where they see the green Feline child with a bunch of other adults sort of all chained up.
Yeah, which they assume is the child they're looking for because it's the only child that is currently visible.
Yeah. And then then they see a patrol running around as well, and Hunter sends Omega back to the ship while the clones go to rescue the child, and of course it doesn't go well for them, where they say that they'll go and grab the kid, and of course the Bad Batch get captured, which I thought was like, for being a special forces operator,
Yeah, but you have to the context in this case is, I think, a bit redeeming for them. They send Omega back to the ship to keep a watch on things, and Echo is the one that is climbing around on the getting up high, as they say, to have some eagle spotting position. And up there's a let's call it giant flying lizard that drops him to the ground, which gives away the situation for everybody in this vicinity, and then they simply get overwhelmed. So I don't think you can blame them for being bad
No.
operatives, but the rank in their ranks messed up.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's a Zargarian flying lizard is some of the information. Yeah, it's called a Breezak.
Yeah, it's not small.
No, it's not. It's a bit like the one from a bit like in design. Well, not full design, but it reminded me a little bit of the lizard that Kenobi rides in episode 3.
Yeah, it's very similar, with the exception that this one has some kind of weird belly flaps that go outside very much so that he can glide slash fly.
Yeah. Yeah. So while that's going, while they're captured as well, we cut back to Sid speaking to somebody on
The comms.
comms about getting Moochie back.
Yeah.
And she drops the name that it's
Jabba.
it's Babe actually. We don't know it's well, we know it's Jabba. The audience know it's Jabba, but it's.
I think she actually says, "Tell Jabba I keep my words."
I think she does, but she also says Babe as well.
Yeah. Bib, call your boss that I always keep my words, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, we get caught back, and let me get this straight. So, Omega wanders off and looks through her visor, and then sees that that her friends are captured. And initially, she hides in the ship, but then some pirates get along, and after a few minutes, they board the ship and try looking for anybody in there, but can't find anyone because she has snuck out through what looks like a hatch of sorts that goes down the front of the ship, and then she makes her way over to the what's it called? The old abandoned marketplace where everybody is being kept.
Yeah, so as you said, she's using the cabling, isn't she? That seems to be there.
Yeah, some which strikes me weird, as in the sci-fi setting you still have landlines going public.
It's Star Wars. It's one of the things you occasionally see, isn't it?
We have all nice and shiny techy things, but now telephones still go over cables on large masts to be taken down easily, which is weird. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but she climbs down.
Yeah, and then she trips on a rock, which gives the peoples a bit of a scare. Then Wrecker kicks a rock to get back people's attention, and I don't remember who's calling it. I think it's Echo that goes, "You wouldn't make such loud noises if we had our gear," which is a subtle hint for her. A very subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she knocks a rock or something and it falls, and then Wrecker kicks the rock that hits one of the Zargarians, and then Echo sort of shouts that so Omega can find the gear, isn't it?
Yeah, she can see it from up there, and I can't clearly remember now if I try to think how they actually get off there.
Which one? Where Echo's falls down?
Now I remember. She crawls down and she lands on a giant cage, and in the cage there are sounds that every Star Wars fan knows.
There are some familiar noises.
Yeah, and she crawls down the hatch and is doing things at the door.
Yes.
When she's being caught by pirates asking her what she's snooping around, and she raises the bar and says, "Not snooping around, unlocking doors." And then the cage goes open, and there is a baby Rancor.
And this is where the episode title probably comes into play.
Yeah. And on a side note, today I saw somebody post a picture of a skull of a pug. And you really need to look at the skull of a pug. That is so one-to-one the baby skull of that Rancor. It's not even funny how close that is.
Yes, yeah. So the baby Rancor goes on a rampage as the Bad Batch and Omega suddenly.
Yeah, Omega starts freeing the Bad Batch whilst
Yep.
the pirates are trying to get the Rancor baby back into the cage.
And then this is where we sort of get the little twist where Omega speaking to the feline child, saying, "I will rescue Muchi," and the adult goes, "No, not
Oh,
Muchi," and
das da ist
point
Muchi.
yes, and points to the Rancor. So we then find out that the Rancor is Muchi.
Yeah, and at that point, I think everybody who had an interest in Star Wars for a longer time knows that Jabba had more than one baby Rancor in his services.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching one of the many people that have Star Wars YouTube channels, which is depressing in some respects because some of the information that people put out on these channels is like, why? It's it's why, but
Because
that's a
of the
different.
clicks.
Yes, it's because of the clicks. But supposedly the Rancor that we see Luke fighting is male and has a different name.
Potentially
It's
possible. I don't
in the
think.
visual. It's in the visual diary, a visual diary or something. It's in one of the like official books that came out.
Mhm.
One of the one of the more newer ones that came out when they started consolidating everything. I think it's mentioned in there. But yeah, so I think it was safe to assume anyway that Jabba being who Jabba is in his position in the universe, which has now been surpassed by Fett, is that he would have more than one of those creatures around. But then,
Yeah,
of course, we then have basically a chase ensuing, don't we? It's Echo and Omega leading the liberated slaves away to safety, while Hunter, Wrecker, and Tech go after Muchi.
does Tech join them? I
I think
can't
Tech comes
remember.
as well. Yeah, according to the bump I've got here from the notes, it's Hunter sends Tech and Wrecker after the run after the Rancor because it's Hunter that takes on the leader.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it worked there. I was just wondering there were only two
Yeah.
people behind Muchi, and yeah, we can cut things short. It's a
Yeah.
longish fight.
Mhm.
The pirates get beaten. Muchi beats the crap out of that flying lizard that
Yes.
then is banished into the ether. Hunter remains victorious over the pirate slash slave trader leader.
Yep.
And I think the best thing is when Tech goes, yeah, no, Rancors only work after a social construct of hierarchy. You need
Yes.
to beat him. and
That's.
then they start to beat each other up like there's no tomorrow.
I was going to say it's like one of those old prize fighter films, isn't it, where you've got like 30 rounds of the two boxers just beating each other and can barely stand.
Yeah, I was more thinking about things with Bud Spencer and Terence Hill that where they are knocking themselves over the head for
Well,
some time, and
yeah.
at some time they just get tired.
I was thinking of the old Clint Eastwood movies as well from the 70s, The Any Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can, where he's got the orangutan as his
Yeah.
friend.
Oh
And there
yeah.
was sort of the end of those films where one of them is basically him and the other guy beating each other and it's like, I can't throw a punch anymore. I'm just going to sit down here and have a drink and then I'll get up and try and throw a punch again.
And I think the final punch then comes from Omega,
Wrecker.
which uh, makes her the dominant, I guess.
I don't think no. I thought it was Wrecker hits him, Muchi then just slumps down, and then Wrecker slumps on top of them. And I think Omega might say something to them,
Yeah.
but
Also,
also Omega picks up her weapon.
yeah, she was just about to say she shows some what you called a few episodes again a very intuitive handling skill on weapons. So there's a weird looking crossbow
Yeah.
arm type weapon. She just picks it up and has it ready to go within seconds,
Mm-hmm.
which is very astounding.
It is, so it's maybe linking more to her genetic
Yeah.
disposition.
Being very adaptive and to be able to fight with any weapon that is available.
Yeah, I'm wondering as well as whether they will be because I think in the footage that we have seen of her, with the weapon in the trailer,
Mhm.
it didn't look like it had the big shield that it seemed to have. So I wonder if she adapts it, because when she puts it on her arm, it has like a big, almost like a shield part.
Mhm.
And when you look at it on the stuff that we've seen from the trailer with her using this weapon, because it looks like it is this is the weapon that she's going to be using. It doesn't have that shield part.
Yeah, could be, or she simply hasn't found the switch yet.
Maybe. Well, it was the whole part of the mechanism. If you look at it, so I'm wondering if she adapts it, because it wouldn't surprise us that the Bad Batch, help her to adapt it, because it looks like it might be going on the same arm as the com. So they might integrate the weapon into that arm piece that she has with the com on.
I may take a look at that after the show.
Yeah.
But after this whole fighting shenanigans, we get another cut back to Sid,
Yes.
and there's a very well-known person joined by two Gamorrean guards.
Exactly. Bib has actually come to see Sid.
Bib Fortuna is there to reclaim what is rightfully Jabba's.
And we get the interplay between Sid and Bib, where Sid's trying to tell Bib to relax, that her best people are on it, and she promises everything. And then we get the noise outside, don't we? We get the growl or the roar.
And
Moochie
nobody
outside.
in town is scared because there's a baby Rancor being ridden by a girl.
Yes, with 4 clones around her.
Which is totally normal. Nothing of the unusual here to see. Please move along.
Yeah. Step away from the growling Rancor. Thank you very much.
No touching. He hasn't eaten today.
And then we get the reunion of Bib with Moochie, where he goes Moochie and treats it like a pet.
It's
like a dog almost, isn't it?
It's not like that Jabba has bought a new Rancor. It looks really like somebody has taken his pet from him, and which is weird if you think about how heartless that blob of a guy can be.
Well, I'm thinking Jabba just seems to be losing children, because the original Clone Wars animated movie had his son being kidnapped by Ventress and Dooku, didn't
You think by Return of the Jedi he's simply gotten so bad and evil because everybody seems to try to kill his offspring.
Yes. Steal things from him that he's just tired of doing, It's... But you don't know. But then we get the those leading off, and Sid basically pointing to Hunter to come into the office, basically into her office, where she introduces the bounty hunter. That's the information she has on the bounty hunter, and that's when we get the name Fennec Shan.
And we get the confirmation that she is very fresh on the scenes, so she hasn't made a name for herself yet.
No.
Which is, I think, not unimportant information coming down the line, because that could potentially lead to interesting situations.
Yeah, well, it just shows probably in the timeline where the character is, where we meet her in the Mando, over where the character is in skill set. And
yeah, but also if she had been meeting with other headhunters and in the Mandalorian, they would know how to treat her, and I guess if she would be handling situations now, and there would be some, I'd say, lower level but well-known bounty hunter may overestimate his chances against her.
Well, the interesting conversations that I've seen, or some of the conversations, is some of the stuff that we've sort of mentioned previously, is that she's actually been hired by Boba. She hasn't been hired by the, what you call it, the Kaminoans, she was actually being hired by someone else, and it's actually Boba who's hired her to find technically his sister, because I think that's
No,
where
I
we're
don't
leading
think so. Simply because
Omega is.
she's in the Mandalorian when
Mhm.
Boba rescues her.
Yes.
She simply stays with him because of the rescue, and I don't
Mm.
think if she had a past with him before that, the whole meetup would have been different.
Well, we don't know because some of that was off camera, don't we?
Yeah, but I still think that's a very far
Oh,
stretched thing.
it's a very, very stretched, thing. But it may be the fact that it's actually Boba who's hired her, but she doesn't know who's hired her. She just knows that a client has requested that
Yeah, maybe
this Omega be.
potentially Boba has just acted as a relay that the Kaminoans
Mm.
have expressed their need for a bounty hunter, and he just passed on the job to somebody else.
Yeah. But it was, it's interesting to see where this is going to end up. I mean, because it ends. The interesting thing was the last line, which is where Sid says to Hunter as he's leaving that she's good with secrets, and then
Yeah,
then he just turns and scowls at her. It's like, is that going to come round to bite him back in the behind? We don't know. This is an area of Star Wars that we we know, but we don't know, if you know what I mean.
yeah, but I think this will only lead to
More work.
more work for her because she has been shown in the trailers, and I guess at
Mhm.
some point the Bad Batch needs to find a place in the galaxy for themselves, and since they are not officially on any side of the upcoming revolution
Mhm.
just yet, I think they will be making themselves valuable as mercenaries
Yeah,
for things
but
needed.
yeah, I think it is setting themselves up as
I,
mercenaries and
I,
as
I think the best analogy I can find right now is that they are going to be the A team of the universe.
yes, yeah.
Simply because they are on the run from the official ruling system, but at the same time, they are living in broad daylight with everybody.
He has a one for you, and this is going off a complete tangent, right? We do know we're getting season 3 of The Mandalorian. We do know how much Dave Filoni likes bringing his animated characters into live action. Ahsoka and Bo-Katan,
Mm-hmm.
case in point, yeah? We don't actually know what happened to the Bad Batch.
No, we didn't. We
So
know the
imagine,
actor is still around.
well,
Though for the Bad Batch, they would have to find different people, I guess.
they could find different people because even though they are, yes, you could use Tamura Morrison again and just have him play the role again, yeah?
And again, and
And
again,
again,
and
and again, and
again.
again. But because the Bad Batch are supposedly genetically desirable in their DNA and stuff, maybe you could stretch to having a slightly different actor play a member or two, in the Bad Batch. But
Does he
also,
have a brother or something?
I was thinking the other one that would be obvious if she survives, depending on the story, would be Omega.
Yeah, and just have her aged a
Hmm.
far bit so that she isn't too similar to the child actor.
Yeah, but if you think of it, what we're looking at 30 years, roughly. No, it's about 20, say about 25 years, 26 years,
Yeah,
maybe.
let her be in her early 30s, late
Hmm.
20s.
Yeah. Hmm. It's just, wherever Dave Filoni's brain decides to go, I guess, isn't it?
Let
You
the
know,
dice roll.
because you never know. This might be characters that turn up if the show is getting made or not getting made, depending on what rumors. Where there's a thing coming out, which was something that was mentioned, I think, before. Did we mention it last week that Rangers of the New Republic isn't in active development at the
Yeah,
moment?
I think it was the week before we mentioned that
Yeah,
there's
where
some kerfuffle.
you never know. That might be a way of having Rangers come back.
Yeah,
There is another way that they could have Rangers go back, but we won't
or
talk
they
about that one because it's
simply
just depressing.
just put it on hold for half a year, and then sneakily work it up again, and
Yeah, rehire a certain person
people
and
will have
forget what they've
forgotten.
done. They've done in the past. So but anyway, that's an aside. From it was just that ending was the thing. I think that things that was interesting, because the original live action Star Wars TV series that George Lucas was going to create,
Hmm.
because there was one in the works, that had 20 scripts written. This is before Disney picked it up. Was called Star Wars Underworld, and it was going to deal with basically what the Mandalorian and what Book of Boba Fett, and it was going to deal with that part of the Star Wars universe.
And what 1313 would have been.
And yeah, and definitely what 1313 would have been.
That's
Yes,
still
let's
a
not talk
game that
about
lingers in
1313.
my head.
Yes, but we know that that Ubisoft are working on a Star Wars game, so
Yeah, but that will get his own podcast episode at time.
definitely yes.
So
I mean,
overall,
I've never purchased Fallen Order yet, so
so overall, this was a really nice popcorny episode
yeah.
with some obvious traps, like, yeah, it's not going to be a child they're going to rescue with it.
Yeah, there was the whole it's obvious it's not going to be a child, but it may be a child. You never know with the way Star Wars works.
Yeah, and also, I think from the character point of perspective, yeah, they were looking for a child. From the viewer's perspective, who has seen every other Star Wars movie, goes, nah, this is not going to be a child. not,
Yeah.
not a human child or anything like we would imagine in the first instance of
Mhm.
thought, but something weirdly different. It wouldn't have surprised me if it had been some kind of big jelly blob in a container that they need to carry around or something.
Well, they've done that in the past with Rebels and stuff, where they've done the whole thing with the space cows that Lando was transporting. In was that Rebels? Yeah,
I
it was
think so.
Rebels.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Rebels where
Didn't
Lando
they
turned up.
explode or something?
I can't remember now.
For some weird reason, I now have my mind set on exploding cows. I'm pretty sure that there was something about creatures getting too riled up and then getting all boomy,
Yes,
but I
no,
can't.
they inflated. That's what it was, I think.
Yeah, it was something weird.
Yes, something very strange. Inflating cows.
Yeah. So
Something producers
overall,
enjoy.
on a score from 1 to 10, I'd say this is a solid 7.5.
Yeah, 78. It was a sort of it was a good little actiony episode with it didn't progress the story too much.
No,
I
but
think it just laid the foundations of some of the information that the viewer knew, like who the bounty hunter was,
yeah, and
to
there are
tie them
some
to the protagonist in the story.
yeah, and I think there are some subtle hints of what is to come with. Yeah, I'm good with secrets, so either she will be betraying them or she will use this as leverage to
Yeah.
make them work for her, just like somebody does on the A team. Uh, or and the thing that Wrecker had his headache again.
Yes.
So these are foreshadowing things. To be honest, I want the next episode to be a bit more, be it 8 to 9. So we need one because I feel if they get another good to mediocre episode, we are starting to lose steam. We need some more momentum.
I'm not sure because I'm not sure what the next one is. I know we are due, and this is just off sort of the trailer and stuff. We're due an episode where they are inside of an ATTE on some planet. And I think the planet reminds me of Naboo, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that we are going to meet Rex at some point in the within the next span of episodes, because it's only the Bad Batch is only 16 episodes, I think. It's not a full. It's not full 22 episodes like they did with, with or 20 episodes like they did with the
Clone
with
Wars.
Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff.
But
this is 16 episodes. It says 16 episodes,
yeah,
and we're up to episode 6 now.
yeah,
Next
and
episode is 6.
we have but we have a very open ending. We have several um, story arcs that are more or less to converging on the Bad Batch, and I think the next episode is a possibility of them getting shit done because they got money, they've got their ship restocked, and they literally don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
So this could be anything.
I think nearer the end, I think, like episodes, say 14, 15, 16, sort of the end of the season. I know we're jumping ahead. I think that's where things like maybe Rekka's headaches, the Crosshair story, and the Omega story may all intertwine into one.
Yeah, that will be towards the end of the.
I think that'll be towards the end where
and
where
maybe
the big...
worse. Maybe it will be a what do you call it? Not a hangover.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Why did I think of hangovers?
I don't know. Have you been drinking?
Not really.
There's a bank holiday over here, so
Not for me. Tomorrow is just a normal work day.
I'm off. I'm actually off all this week coming.
Well,
so I had some holiday spare that I had to take before the end of August because I've already got my holidays booked in for August. So yes.
Yeah, just rub it in there. Yeah, I think we can call this episode a close on this, because we would simply be rambling on, and we will save our ramblings for another episode at some point in the future. Yeah. So, Ralph, I thank you for your insider knowledge and your handy pamphlets of notes you've taken for the episode. I thank you listening out there and watching on YouTube's. Until next week, I say goodbye.